a lot of talk right now about the elections in Romania. Recently, they had to annul an election because Calin Georgescu won about 23% of the vote. And the perception of people, especially on the right, that mistrust government is that this was done only because the favored candidate of the government did not win. And I just wanted to provide some context. So I reached out to Claudiu to talk about the context surrounding everything involving Romania's elections. Claudiu is the owner of Republica, which is a major media outlet in Romania, and I hope you enjoy this discussion, and I hope it provides some value to you.
Not about only about Russian interference. It's about what the candidate and his campaign did also in Romania. Supreme Council of Country Defense, which is composed from all the services, the intelligence services, the president, the army, the government, every has representatives there. And this organism is ruled by the president. And this organism said and declassified reports from those institutions, the internal security service and so on, that in those reports it was stated that and detailed this type of interference from Russia, internal and external actors in the elections, on TikTok with money invested there and so on. Based on that and on those declassified reports, the Constitutional Court said that there was interference in the elections, and we have to cancel them and to retake from zero the whole process. In parallel, of course, we should, and from my point of view, this is the one of the biggest problems. We should have investigations by the police, by the local authorities, and so on. At the end of this type of investigation, we should have guilty persons, convictions, and so on in front of in front of a judge. The problem is that this type of investigation is very slow, and this is attracting the frustration and the fury of a part of the population, those that voted with Calin Georgescu, who's the main loser of the first round of elections.
So, if they were overturned, if it was annulled because of Russian influence, a Russian influence operation, and I talked about TikTok and all that stuff.
This is not the only problem signaled. So not only external problems, Russian interference. There is something, and you will agree with me, in Romania, all the candidates have, of course, have the obligation to declare how much money they are spending in the elections. In the United States too, have to be very transparent. Who donated those money? Who are the supporters? Companies or individuals? There are limitations. How much money can an individual donate to a campaign, and so on. Mr. Calin Georgescu stated in front of the authorities, Romanian authorities, that he spent zero lei, zero RON, these elections, which of course is not possible. He had TikTok campaigns, he had Facebook campaigns, and so on. But those two things are separate, but they are building the whole image. Not only about Russian interference. It's about what the candidate and his campaign did also in Romania. They stated they spent zero money in this campaign, which
you're right. That can't be true. So my question is, the influence has already been created, though. People, if there's another election held in May, the same people are going to be influenced to vote, and maybe even more people will vote for Georgescu this go around because of all the attention that he's receiving. Now he has global name recognition, popularity is skyrocketing. He was just on a very popular show here in the United States. the Sean
Mhm.
Ryan podcast, the influence has already been done. The damage is done. So how do you have involving Georgescu without disenfranchising voters
Yeah,
or
a very logic assumption that you are stating right now. But
Mhm.
the two problems. The first hypothesis is if Georgescu and his campaign was the reason to cancel an election,
Mhm.
the question is he will be approved. Another attempt him to enter in the presidential campaign will be approved or not by the Constitutional Court.
Oh,
The
I see.
Constitutional Court,
Mm.
before the first round of election, vetoed extremist candidate Diana Șoșoacă. She played,
Mhm.
which very close to Russia. She participates to Russian ceremonies and was against Ukraine and so on. And the Constitutional Court didn't approve her candidacy because he was making statements against the constitution. She wanted to dissolve the parties. She wanted
Mm.
to the democratic rule in Romania. So and first question is, will Mr. Georgescu be able to run again? The second one is like this, and this is my analysis. The biggest enemy of Mr. Georgescu in this election is Mr. Georgescu itself. More exposing Mr. Georgescu to the public more, the chances that the public, the honest people, can see through Mr. Georgescu, can hear what he has to say, some and unimaginable things that he's about United States, the defense in defense in Romania. You know, a lot of discussion about making. We have an important of the U.S. defense shield.
Mhm.
We have three positions. Yeah, we have a NATO base near the Mihail, which can the discussion at the international level is that this from Mihail Kogalicianu to be one of the most important NATO and American base in the region, with all the problems that Turkey raised during the past decade. NATO and America should have an important presence near the seaside, the Black Sea side, yeah,
Right.
near Russia, to be able to control things in this region. And Mr. Georgescu said, no way. And this is only one of a long list of positions against NATO, United States, so on, in reality. When he's coming into United States at podcasts or interviews, if you're
Right.
listening to him, you can think the biggest friend of US. When he's coming in Romania, he's saying, we don't need anybody. We can be by ourselves. We don't have to stay in our needs of US and things like this. So in reality, the biggest enemy of Mr. Calin Georgescu is Calin Georgescu itself. More the light, the time light is put on him, honest people can see how he's thinking, what he's doing, if he can walk the talk and things like this. And because in the first time in elections, a lot of people with Calin Georgescu without knowing in reality who's
Mhm.
Calin Georgescu. They heard about Calin Georgescu 1 week before, and they voted with Calin Georgescu because they were very upset with the traditional politicians in Romania, with good reason, of course.
So I was reading that the plan on the left is to consolidate candidates to remove perhaps some the ballot to increase the probability of winning. From the left perspective, are hundreds of thousands of people protesting in Bucharest.
Hmm.
What would their if this election if remove Georgescu or if they consolidate candidates on the left? Do you think they view that as unfair in any situation?
Just one addition, because it's very important. You are
Okay.
saying candidate of the left. In reality, Mr. Georgescu is not on the right. Mr. Georgescu is an extremist. So in Romania, we have left, right, center. It's more, it's complex than the bipartisan uh, political
Right.
spectrum from the United States. Mr. Calin Georgescu, it's on no one's side. Yeah, he's just an extremist and saying that he don't like anybody, not right, not the left, not the center. He has his own visions. We will solve the problems, saying. And when he's asked how, we will, he's answering just like this.
Right.
Mr. Calin Georgescu should not be compared, for example, with Donald Trump, because things are, oh my gosh, totally different. Donald Trump has a party, Donald Trump has an administration, Trump has collaborators. Donald Trump
Right.
has been in that position before. Donald Trump did something in his life, build businesses and so on. Calin Georgescu didn't do any of these. He was a chief of an NGO that collaborated with United Nations. He was Secretary of State in a government after the revolution. And that's all. In the past 10 years, Mr. Calin Georgescu didn't do anything. You cannot
Mhm.
compare, and this is one a very big mistake to compare Mr. Calin Georgescu with Donald Trump, or to put Mr. Calin Georgescu on the right side of this political spectrum. He's trying, of course, to build this type of, because as I've told you, when
Right.
he's coming into United States, or he's talking with American press, his narratives are like this. Biggest of United States, big admirer of Donald Trump. In reality, what he's saying internally and his positions against important topics from the American agenda, not Biden's agenda, Trump's agenda, American agenda, in reality are against topics and what the American nation do in the world and at home.
Right now in the United States, there's a large amount of distrust of the government, especially from the right side, especially from the right. Type of perspective would make these decisions seem to be anti-democratic.
I don't think I get the question. So the mistrust is in the Romanian government.
In in the United States,
Okay.
there's a mistrust of government. Period. Government.
In,
Um,
in, in Romania is the same thing. In
okay.
Romania, the feeling is the same because, as you probably know, one of the biggest problem in Romania in the last 30 years after the revolution was corruption and the lack of qualified people, professional, in key position in the state. Without professionals, with politicians camouflaged in professionals, we have a state, a lot of bureaucracy, corruption, even if it decreased in the last decade, but it still remains. Uh, Another big problem is, Romania has one of the fastest evolving Europe in the last decade, which is great.
Mhm.
The GDP per capita and is in of Romania larger than in Hungary, for example. It evolved like this in the past years, but in the same
Mhm.
time, the wealth is not distributed around the country. We have in Romania big and large cities like Bucharest, Cluj,
Mhm.
Timișoara, where the quality of life higher than in Western cities like Paris, London, and so on. And we have mid and rural areas where the quality of life is very low. So these large differences between citizens from the is adding more frustration. That feeling that you described that exists in too, mistrust in the government, authorities, mistrust in traditional politicians and in traditional parties. And again, as you of course know, this feeling is not Romanian, it's not American. You can find the same
Right.
thing in Germany, in France, everywhere in the entire world. Of course, Russians are just putting some water on this or some gas on flames, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They are
Sure.
not, let's be serious, they're not starting this thing. Sickness at an international level. Of course, Russia, like any other, rejoiced by adding gas to the fire, but they are not the source of the fire. The source of the fire or the source of the problem are indeed traditional systems that
Mm-hmm.
needs to understand that they have to change. They have to put in front new people, professionals, decent people, people that are listening to society saying, I think this is the key. Uh, of course, in the humanity, in the humanity of this, when society is frustrated, that about feeling that nobody listened to them, were reaching to a low point where give up front of politicians appeared from nowhere that the sun from the sky, but the working people, professionals, they can change the course of humanity, not providential leaders.
Well, I think that sentiment is great, and I think certainly has that same sentiment, especially right now. Even if you look at who Trump has nominated for the cabinet, very ordinary people like Pete Hegseth, who's going under his nomination process right now, he's definitely not your traditional type of nominee. He's more of a
Yeah,
salt of the earth type of person, like you talked about. Just one quick thing before we hop off,
yeah,
Claudiu, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And I hope we go on with further conversations about this.
great.
What is the one thing you would like America or you like the world to know about the Romanian people?
Uh, we have the same problems as people from everywhere have. Just normal, like every people. Uh, we are not extremists. We are a moderate, calm country. One of the biggest things that we've succeeded bring and to build in Romania, safety. Bucharest is one
Yeah,
of the most safest cities in the world. In a country like this and in a place like this, we want to raise our kids. Like I think every American wants, French citizen
mhm.
wants normality and a state that creates the place where working people can evolve, can earn, put money aside for education for their kids. We have the same desires and at the same
Well,
time the same frustration and the same problems.
well, I think the United States, certainly in our big cities, could learn a lot from the city of Bucharest and from Romania in general. And I really appreciate you taking the time to come
Thanks a
chat with
lot.
me today. And where can people find information about you and about what you're doing?
LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, it's the simplest place, or the place where they can find me. Yeah, on LinkedIn, and I would really appreciate if they write back messages about our conversation.
That's fantastic. I will share all of this. No matter
Great.
where I post it, I will put in the description links so you can connect with Claudia. Thank you so much. I'm sorry if I
Thank you
butchered
so
your
much,
name.
Nick.
I
Yeah.
tried, I practiced as much as I could, but I
No,
probably.
it's okay. It's perfect, Nick. Thanks a
All
lot.
right. Thank
Have
you
a
so
nice
much.
day.